Welcome to the battleground of the gods.
Guess we probably could have got like show notes and everything ready, but we don't need show notes because we're getting right into it. Welcome, challengers, to Battleground of the Spoopy Gods.
The battleground of the ghouls?
The ghouls. Yeah, Battleground of the ghouls. Although we are going to be like 2 days afterwards, but whatever. We got myself, Fro Double G, hosting us today, along with the hostess with the mostest, Nevea03.
It me. Hello. Happy Halloween.
Yes. Happy Halloween, or Sagwin, or whatever you celebrate. So, a little bit different for this week's episode, like last week's. I'm sure you guys heard. We figured we just kind of, especially Nev and I have been taking a bit of a break with Smite, just with other things coming out and being busy. Although this week I know you planned on playing more, but didn't because your schedule. But
and beads, beads being a thing, or not being a thing.
Honestly, I did want to get in and be like, all right, I played a Maui game. He was fun. Like, I wanted to get in and be like, hey, let's play some Smite. And then I was just like, oh, I saw in the Olympian Discord that like beads and beads related things were just going to hell.
Everything
Gods being removed.
broke.
And I'm like, I might just avoid Smite this week just because it sounds like Smite's avoiding Smite this week.
I was telling Depp about it. I think it was yesterday. No, was it? No, it was Friday night. I was telling Depp about it on Friday night, and he, Monday through Friday, business toward Depp, not really playing too much Smite because of the work week. I respect it. I get it. He had not heard anything that was going on. And I was like, oh, let me fill you in. First, Fafnir was disabled. Then they brought him back. And apparently he was being able to, like, jump while he was in his ult and some crazy nonsense like that. Persephone was able to do old passive.
So, Fafnir was able to cast his abilities while he was technically labeled as a self-banish, right? When he transforms into his dragon state.
Right.
He was able to full cast all of his abilities and while de-transforming. And then Persephone, when she died, if you use beads, it would cleanse your own self-banish that her passive is coded as.
Yep.
So then you could cast abilities and shit. So
just like old Persephone.
Yeah, it was a thing. It was a thing. But so Nev and I, anyways, have decided to maybe grab a few different little stories. I know we haven't really communicated on what we have like picked out too much. Just like lightly told each other. So I'm interested to hear what you have for us today, Nev.
Oh. Do you want me to go first? Because mine are way less serious than yours.
I mean, if you consider mine serious.
So I went more urban legend route because I know that they were going to be doing creatures last week. And I'm more of like a fan of like urban legends and ghost stories and stuff like that around this time of year. So I thought I could keep it a little lighthearted and do some of the famous, very familiar ones to pretty much anybody. That way, you can kind of see one of the cool things about urban legends and just like folklore in general is, over time, things might change a little bit, but the structure of the story will stay the same, and it just becomes timeless. Like it's like what's going to happen kind of thing.
Yep.
It's very, very straightforward. So, I mean, I kind of refreshed my memory on some of the classic urban legend tales that you might have heard of when you grew up, like the babysitter urban legend. The call is coming from inside the house. And that's the other great thing about urban legends.
They use that in literal horror movies.
Exactly. That's the great thing about urban legends is you're going to see a lot of your more common urban legends being in modern day movies. So like the call was coming from inside the house. That's a great call back to the very beginning of Scream, for example. When she finds out the call is coming from inside the house. But basically the story of the babysitter is it's a babysitter and she's babysitting. And she keeps getting this call and the phone just keeps ringing and ringing. And she answers and some strange voice on the other side of the phone says, "Have you checked on the children?" I don't know why she sounds like Baba Yaga, but I thought I'd run it out there.
Weird. I thought she sounded like Nev trying to sound old, but yeah. Anyways.
Wow. I mean, Riggs isn't here, but Riggs does call me Baba Yaga sometimes, so it's very rude. Anyway, it turns out the children are not okay because the call was coming from inside the house. And you know what, though? When I first heard that story, I was a kid, and that was before, I knew that you could have multiple lines in the same house, but I kept wondering, how is this working? I just couldn't. It was before the time of cell phones and stuff. How was the call coming from inside the house? How did that happen?
Are you calling from the same number?
Yeah, that's why I'm confused.
We have Bright right now is super confused what we're even talking about.
Yeah, Bright is
speaking of our fans, real quickly, I do have a Smite story to sprinkle in. It may be a bit of a horror story too.
Is it ranked?
So, it might as well have been. So it was 2 a.m. in the morning.
2 a.m. Sorry.
So it was 2 a.m. in the morning, and I was queued up with Trevor, Riggs, and young Bryce, and we ran into a listener, good old Necros, and he was playing Cucullin. It was a match. Let's see here. We had Bryce going full damage, Bobble, Rangda's Mask, Ganesh. I was going Bobble, Rangda's Mask,
oh my
God. Geb. Then we had a Danzabura.
Wait, is
tank.
This a scary story for you, or is this a scary story?
This is for Necros. Anyways, long story short, we're all memeing. Riggs has got a pretty normal tier build, and he goes 21-1 or 20-1 and just destroys, and we all raffle stomped for the most part. Yeah, unfortunate for them. There was one point though where Bryce was like, "Hey, this Cucullin's the only one on their team that's positive." And then it's 20 seconds later, and Bryce is like, "Not anymore."
Wow.
That was great.
Toxic.
Yeah, sorry, Necros.
Toxic.
GG's, bud. Sorry, we're literally cursing your fountain and diving you in fountain. But 2 a.m. Smite, man. What can I say?
It do be hitting different though. 2 a.m. Smite, very spoopy. You know what else is spoopy? When you're trying to stream and everything breaks.
Yeah. Is that what happened yesterday?
Yep.
Because I literally, I went to go get lunch, right? I was watching your stream, I had it going. Go out to get lunch. I'm in the middle of eating lunch, and I get a message from Nev. Yeah, we can record whenever. It's wait, what? Hold up here.
Well, so I was able to get everything going again, but no, it was a subathon. So once the timer hits 0, it's over. So that's what happened with that. But no, in the middle of my subathon, my OBS crashed, my Smite crashed, my camera crashed.
Well, see, that must have been for the moments I was away because I didn't catch any of that.
And I was like, well, everybody hang tight. Yeah, it was weird. Know
Bright got to find out the hard way that OBS will reset your
your settings just arbitrarily for no reason at all? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, yo, Bright, you're lagging pretty bad, bud. You might want to take it down to 720. And he's like, no, I'm on 720 right now. I'm like, nah, dude.
Nah, I'm looking and it says
literally
1080.
only 1080, and that is it. And I'm like, and I'm not trying to talk shit about your computer. Like some computers can handle it, but if it's an online multiplayer game, for 1080, dude, you almost always need 2 PCs. Like, it's just really strenuous on your PCs. It just is.
Yeah.
Like I said, some single player games you can get away with it, but that's just because you're not bogging it down quite as much. But yeah, I'm like, no, dude, this is dead ass. This is 1080. And I like literally took a screenshot.
Oh,
and
no.
He was playing on 720, right? He had it all set up at 720 except for on OBS. So he was broadcasting his 720 at
1080. Oh,
and
no.
it's like, dude, I'm so sorry.
That's a bummer. But hey, at least
like,
y'all figured it out, you know?
Yeah, right. But it was one of the ones where like he had to learn like literally any update ever.
You want to triple check because, like, seriously,
all of your settings.
It's been where, like, randomly it'll just turn my microphone into my webcam microphone. And I'm like, I've never used my camera microphone. Why? Why would you
Honestly,
do that?
I wouldn't even realize that these fucking things have a microphone if it wasn't for the fact that it occasionally tries to, like, hook up to them.
Mm-hmm.
Which low-key kind of makes me upset. I wish there wasn't a mic, so I didn't try, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's, like, a long, convoluted way you can, like, go into your, like, actual Windows settings and be like, never consider this to be a input.
Yeah, I ain't doing that.
I'm not doing any of that either. You know what? We just like to complain about the OBS problems.
So, did you have another spoopy folklore story for us?
Oh, let's see. Another commonly known urban legend, you mean? How about the Hook? Do you know the Hook? If you've ever seen I Know What You Did Last Summer, it's kind of loosely based on that.
I have not.
Oh.
I'm actually like probably the perfect person to tell all these to because like being the youngest sibling, they didn't do a lot of the stories, and like I also am not a fan of horror movies, so I just haven't watched any of those. Like I haven't seen the Scream movie, I haven't seen I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh well, many spoilers.
I do know like little tidbits of them just from like cultural osmosis, right? Like, I do know the reference to the hook. Like, I have, like, the visualization of, like, the type of hook you're talking about with, like, the wooden handle and shit.
Yep, that's it. Don't know the story, though.
But, yeah, that's it. That's all I got. Like, I have the dude holds a hook.
Well, as always, there are very many variations, but the basic storyline basically involves a couple on a date, and they're at the, the spot, the spot in the parking lot with the car and the radio playing, and then all of a sudden there's a news report. There's a serial killer with a hook, and he's just escaped from a nearby institution. Okay, so then they're like, oh, that's creepy. We should probably get out of here, because that place is not too far away from here. So then they start to drive away, and the young gentleman takes his date to her house, and as he gets out of the car, the hook is hanging on the car door handle. Dun, dun, dun! That's basically
I'm not gonna lie, I've seen way too many like not horror movies, stuff like that, just like things in media where I was like, I'm just always expecting the like, but then the guy was at the house and it turns out he already had murdered the family. I forget how some of these were just as simple as, it could have been.
It could have been. Like one of the ones that kind of always got me. I mean, and again, they're kind of like, well, some of them are cautionary tales. This upcoming one is kind of a cautionary tale to just kind of be aware of your surroundings. Have you heard of the story called... I don't know why my voice gets all deep. The Backseat.
Wait a minute, Nev. Wait a minute. All right, continue.
Okay. This young lady is driving down a very dark and secluded road, and all of a sudden these headlights come up from behind her, and they're starting to flash and honk their horn, and she's like, "What the heck, dude? You're the only other person on this road. What's going on?" And then eventually the car hits the backside of her car, trying to get her to pull over or get out or something. She doesn't know. But she's like, "What the heck, man?" And so he tells her, he says, "There's a killer in your back seat." Sorry. If you're not watching on YouTube, Bro's face right now is great. There was somebody in her back seat, and he was trying to protect her.
These stories, I'm just always expecting just maybe a little more, you know. It reminds me, I forget who posted the picture of the book the other day. It might not have been our Discord, but it was like a picture of like American folklore horror stories that I remember I read it when I was in like 3rd grade, but they are like the literal simple stories of like the girl who had the ribbon necklace.
Yes, that's a creepy one.
Yeah, it's just one of the ones like, oh, eventually someone took the thing off and her head fell off, and it's like, oh shit, yeah, it's just like literally the ribbon was holding her head on. And
that was just, who wrote the like scariest stories to tell in the dark?
I want to say that's what I honestly know the image more than I do anything.
And that's
like
the thing. Like
creepy,
it was
if a
always
half profile of a face made out of like branches of a tree, but very like twisted and like grotesque art style. And it's a black border book.
Yes.
But the picture has a red border and it's in black and white.
Correct. Yep. That's scary stories
the
to tell
dude's
in the
got
dark.
like a type face to him.
That's scary stories to tell in the dark. Now, rumor has it, and I haven't ever been able to figure this out, but the copies of those books that we used to have as a kid, they don't sell those anymore. They've changed, like, they've edited some of the stories out.
I mean, it's possible.
And then they wonder why our generation's so fucked up.
I mean, there's a few reasons why.
Yes, there is. It's definitely not because of the book.
I don't know if, like, all of it's necessarily worthy of our podcast, but I mean...
No.
Y'all don't understand what the wild, wild west of the internet was.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Anyway, no, I know that book.
I was like trying to think of like, man, there's a few examples, but like, I just don't want anyone Googling them for their own sake.
Yep, don't.
I mean, there's different colored breakfast items, like stuff like that. Like our generation had.
Just no, this week. That's not the kind of scary stories I want to tell.
I mean, it's pretty fucking terrifying.
No, but that book was insane. That book was a great book. They made a movie kind of retelling some of those stories.
I don't remember any of the stories except like that story I told about the girl with the ribbon necklace might not even be from that book. It's just kind of like the same style they had.
Well, one of them that's in the movie and possibly from the book is based on another urban legend called The Bite. I just wanted to see if you would say anything.
I'm trying. I really am. Just like, I haven't heard anything.
No? Okay.
You gonna say Bloody Mary? I think I kind of know something about that.
Bloody Mary. I'm not doing Bloody Mary. Okay, The Bite. This young lady wakes up in the middle of the night because something bitter. What could it have been? I don't know, but it's very itchy. And then I'm really good at telling stories, I promise. And it just kept itching. It was on her cheek. And so she just kept scratching it, and it just kept getting like really gross looking. And so one day she's looking into the mirror and it's just like really swollen, and then it bursts and a bunch of little tiny spiders come out. Bro.
That creeps me out for 2 reasons. A, my cousin's graduation the night before, I got bit in the cheek by a spider. It swelled up my fucking entire face to the point where like I was like one eye like all weekend, right? It was fucking not humiliating at all, trust me. But yeah, that absolutely sucked. The second part was like 3-4 years ago. My buddies and I were out at another one of my buddies' house drinking. And there was this big ass spider that was running across the ground, and we were up on like some pallets, right? Because he had like a pallet like floor type thing, and there was a spider that ran across the thing, and my one buddy like literally stepped on the spider, right?
And it exploded.
It didn't explode, but it did the thing where he pulled his foot away, and there was 100 little baby spiders running in all different directions, and we're like, oh hell no!
Yep.
Like, yeah. And I was not ready for that. We were all just totally at the appropriate level of drunk where there was like fucking 5 grown-ass men like leaping like little bitches away from a bunch of baby spiders.
Just screaming.
Well, it was just, okay, this is the first time I've ever seen that actually happen, right? And it was like, so you just stepped on it and it was just like hundreds. Just,
yeah, because you always hear about that happening, but it never happens to you until it does.
And it was just so many, dude. They just like, I do like, it's like he multiplied the amount of spider mass and they just everywhere. It's like,
yeah, not a fan. And as an
maybe
arachnophobic,
next time we kill the spiders with a bomb, not your foot.
As an arachnophobic, I would not have been okay with that moment. Not at all.
I want to derail us real quickly because that's just what I do.
Oh, by the way, if you're just tuning in or just like trying to figure out when the smite's happening, it might not.
we talked about it. We shit on Necro in a game. That's all you're getting today. So, I hate the people that when you're like, tell them, oh, you know, I got a phobia of snakes. I got a phobia of this or that.
Oh, well, have you tried doing this?
Yes. Or why?
Yes.
Well, why? Okay.
The why kills me every time. I don't know why.
Let me explain something to you.
Actually, I personally know why, but you go ahead.
I will not try to rationalize my phobia, especially when a phobia is an irrational fear about something. I will not rationalize something irrational. Nor should you try to expect me to. Think about it, you fucking idiot. It's literally like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I'm personally am afraid of flying. And so, like, anytime somebody says, well, why? I just am. I don't know. I just am. Well, have you tried? I just am.
Now, see, I get that because there are some things that you are afraid of that there are valid reasonings. Like, for instance, I'm afraid of heights as well. But it doesn't extend to a fear of flying. I don't really like flying because I don't like for the ears popping and I'm not a big fan of the experience and all that. But there is no fear of the flight per se, right? Because for me, it's like a fear between like 50 or like more like 20 to like 100 feet. That range right there.
Yeah.
That whole like you're gonna hit the ground but not hard enough to die.
Yeah.
Just enough to get mangled. That whole range scares the fuck out of me. You know what I don't want to do? Be mangled for the rest of my life. So like once you get past that threshold of like terminal velocity is achieved, like best shot of not worrying about it. Okay, cool. Like
I'm groovy now.
We can deal with that. I know how to aim head first. It's bald. It's aerodynamic. It'll fucking cut right through that shit.
Oh, but what am I going to do? My hair touches my ass. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Don't worry, Nev. Most ladies are top heavy.
Oh, I'll just use it like a parachute. I see what you just did there, by the way. Yeah. Don't think I didn't hear it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all I got. It's all I got.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. So, okay, so one of the urban legends you've never heard of before actually got you. All right. Nice. But I've done a few of them. Why don't you tell me something that you've read about this week that you wanted to share?
So in a little bit of honor of when we did the Hinky Lunkta and how people in Michigan just really enjoy drinking and have nothing better to do. I went and found some Michigan folklore. And I'll start with one that it starts off because it's pretty straightforward and it's going to sound real familiar. It's the Michigan Dog Man.
Is it Bigfoot? But
nope.
in a dog form?
Nope. Well, maybe, because it is a 6-foot man, humanoid dog, right?
Werewolf?
Or dog that's humanoid. You know, some might say werewolf. It's very similar. Or it's also been very closely reported to what is also sometimes referred to in Wisconsin as the Beast of Bray Road. Very, very similar stories.
I, for some reason, have heard that one, but not yours. But go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's cool because that one's got the name and the alliteration, the Beast of Bray Road, right? Essentially, very similar things. They're both like Dogmans. But there is, and I actually pulled up some sightings of the Michigan Dogman, historic sightings. We have 2 lumberjacks in Wexford counties that saw him in Paris, Michigan. Yes, we have a place called Paris, Michigan.
Whoa, is it the sister city to Paris, France?
It might be. Probably not, but it might be. Actually, there's a decent amount of French population, per se, or influence in this area, because we are pretty close to, like, the French Canadians.
That would make sense. It could actually possibly be a sister city to Paris.
Honestly,
naming
in Michigan is really fucking weird because it's a mixture between like indigenous names, French names, and Dutch names. Like heavily a lot of Dutch. We like one of our bigger cities in the state is called Holland because of people from Holland. Like we literally have a tulip festival every year.
Pretty. I want to come.
Because tulips in Holland.
Yeah. Tulips are great.
It's very Dutch. Very, very Dutch. One of my coworkers' name is literally Jan.
What about Johan?
That's Sadon's. So one of my friends, but he's online, a little different. Let's see. There's also another report from 1950s.
Wait, right? When was the first one from?
1937.
Okay. All right. So 20 years later.
Yep. Another one in Allegan County, which is fairly fucking close to me. And in 1967, there's one in Manistee and in Cross Village. Right. So you gotta be careful. Got to be careful. Now, the thing that does make this somewhat a little different that I haven't seen in some of the other ones is that the Michigan Dogman has been seen accompanying or leading a pack of either large dogs or wolves at times. But it would be the only one that walks on 2 legs.
I mean, it would be wild if he taught all the other dogs how to also walk on 2 legs. And then there's just a horde of dogs walking on 2 legs instead of 4. That would be crazy.
Yep. Here, I'm gonna read directly from the Wikipedia. This is from the 1937 attack in Paris. The first alleged encounter of the Michigan Dogman. Oh wait, no, I went too far back. That was the first one. The first one's in 1887.
Oh wait, so the lumberjacks?
Yep, the lumberjacks. In 1937 in Paris, that's the one where a man was attacked by 5 wild dogs, and one of the 5 walked on 2 legs. So that's all we got for that one right there. Yeah, but that's essentially what we have. Now, I'm not going to say to add credibility to it, but there is, and I don't want to speak on this too much because I know very little of the stories, but I do believe an old Ojibwa or Ojibwa story of similar dogman-like things or creatures in the area. But again, I do not want to speak on that too much.
Fair enough. Do you think Smite would ever come up with a skin for Fenrir that would be this thing?
Don't they already have like 2 werewolf skins for him?
Well, he needs more. He's the goodest boy, and he should have.
We need the Michigan Dog Man. Or honestly, I'd be all right with the Beast of Bray Road skin for Fenrir.
Let's do it. Let's make that our campaign for the 2023 stuff. We can do it. We can bring the Wolfman to Smite.
I do see that someone on Smite's trying to start like a bee battle pass.
Yes,
thing.
that would be Emmy. Emmy has been trying to get that going for 93 days now? 94 days? And if there's one thing we've learned in Smite, it is actually like genuinely not trolling. They do listen to their community because think of all the different community skins that have come to Smite.
I'm gonna have to disagree to a slight extent. They definitely do listen. The bun hats is definitely the only time they've ever went, hey, someone has tweeted at us for so long. The other ones have always been. What's that?
Kepri Gun also.
Well, I mean, that's literally years of saying give Kepri a gun, right? I mean, like directly adding like high res or employees, or not just directly adding them, or just doing like a ongoing tweet for like to actually like do a campaign of sorts. The Hunbot or the Bun Hots is kind of a exclusive in that extent, and I don't foresee them doing a whole bunch more. I can see them definitely looking at things that are popular and using things that are popular, but I would like to see a bee styled battle pass, but I don't think a bee by itself, and this is something I even told them, like if they in all honesty want to get the bee battle pass, you're gonna have to make it more than just a bee battle pass. It's gonna have to be like a meadows, flowers, springtime,
like a themed kind of thing.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be more than that. Bee by themselves is not enough to stand alone. A Hunbat skin, right, was enough to stand on its own after like getting a year and a half of like constant support and stuff like that. I don't think you're gonna be able to pull that off going from a skin to a whole battle pass. Nor I don't think that they're probably gonna do it a second time unless this gets like literally the same amount of traction, if not more. I don't know. I just see a lot of things that are like, I want it to happen, but I'm not sure.
Fair enough.
I definitely think that skins like this could sell. And because I'm allowed to say this, I'm not in an NDA anymore. I have actually talked to like Kitten and High Res, or Kitten, Cupcake, and like Ajax about this, like literally the Bee Battle Pass. Holy shit, where's that going? I completely just fucking mind blanked on that.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. And like I straight up told them, like, I know that skins like that could sell because you could literally look at like Kepri Hugbug, because I suggested maybe make it an insect, a cutesy insect battle pass for like a springtime. You could look at the Hugbug. You could look at what's the bee skin for Cupid, whatever that one's called, Busy Bee or whatever. And I'm like, those are like literally what I think could do it. Either like you make very cutesy insects, or like dress the gods in like cutesy insect costumes, and it would fucking work. But anyways, we'll pretend like this has something to do with Halloween, and it all fits in. Right?
Well, costumes.
Exactly, I said costumes. And bees, boobies.
I'm a bee.
Ghost bees.
I'm a bee. Ghost bees.
Fuck. Am I gonna really have to use that song for the outro, Nev?
Oh, is it stuck in your head now?
Actually, I lied. I don't know whose week it is to edit, but if it was mine, I was already bouncing around between 2 different songs. I found a screamo version of Surface Pressure from Encanto. Real good.
Nice.
And I found a screamo version of This Is Halloween that is actually good. So,
also good. Good.
Yeah.
You had said something before we did that, and I was about to look it up, and now I can't remember what it was. Oh, I remember. Vamp for like 5 more seconds, because you made a...
I made a point about the thing within the talking and the stuff, and you said that you were retorting with a comeback of sorts in the responses, and also speaking.
Okay, that was real depth of you right there.
I do my best.
No, you made a pun. You said boobies, and so then it reminded me of another pun that I wanted to share. Are you ready?
Yes.
I promise I'm better with puns than I am with telling urban legends from memory. How do you fix a broken pumpkin? With a pumpkin patch.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I was thinking, I'm like, man, what do you how do you fix a pumpkin? This one's pumpkin patch. Got it. I like those kind of jokes, I'm not gonna lie.
Why did the skeleton not go to the party?
Oh God, I don't know.
Because he had no body to go with.
No, but I knew that one.
Forever Alone.
There you go. It's like, have you seen the one video of that dude who's like holding up the one skeleton, and he asks his buddies like, "What's a skeleton's favorite type of food?"
Yes,
but like,
yes.
He progressively is freaking out more and more, and he's
spare
like,
ribs!
"It's ribs!" Like,
spare ribs.
Shit cracks me. Just the way he escalates it until he's like literally
like screaming at the guy, and the guy's just laughing, just absolutely losing it. I would be too, honestly.
I love it. All right. So that's what I got for the Michigan dog man.
All right.
But
new skin coming to Smite, heard.
I do have one more that is more specific to the Detroit area. But
is it 8 Mile?
No. But ironically, it also will bring in a little bit more of the French influence.
I thought you were going to be like, ironically, it's going to bring in Eminem.
Yeah, ironically, Eminem drops a fire diss track. Just destroys them. Folklore of Michigan.
Sorry.
Made me think, is ICP part of the folklore of Michigan? Oh, fuck. I talk shit, but those guys are actually good for the area.
I'm crying right now.
They really are.
Okay, not 8 Mile folklore. Okay, I'm ready.
Not 8 Mile folklore.
I thought you were gonna be like, it was weird.
Good for the state.
I thought you were gonna be like, it was weird. His mom's spaghetti, and then just starts just rapping. No problem.
So his knees weak and his arms were heavy, right?
Oh man, was there vomit on his sweater already?
Yeah, it was mom's spaghetti.
Oh wow.
So we have the Nain Rouge.
Moulin Rouge.
Nope, the Nain Rouge, which is, according to this, because I obviously do not fucking speak French, the Red Dwarf, also called the Demon of the Strait. Strait being an open body of water, for those who don't know, or like a river area between one land area to another.
Mm-hmm. Bigger than a creek.
Yes, bigger than a creek. Larger than a river, not a lake. So, it's a legendary creature of the Detroit, Michigan area. It is said to show up before misfortune. It is a hobgoblin-ish red devil. Like, it has very similar... It's a very similar to like the Jersey Devil that was explained earlier last week. But according to various narratives surrounding the figure, Detroit's founder, Antoine de la Mothe Cadillac, was a fortune teller.
That's where Cadillacs come from.
Yeah, by the way, if you ever hear Michigan story, it's going to sound like nothing but like car guys having beef. Because, like, literally, we have, there's a city here called Pontiac, right?
Wow.
And Cadillac.
Amazing.
Like, we got Ford was kind of a big deal around here.
Yeah, I do know that. I'm sorry, I didn't know there was a guy named Cadillac.
That blew my mind. Detroit.
That blew my
founder
mind.
Of Detroit was Cadillac. Also Chevrolet. That's why it's a French name for an automotive thing. Yeah. Anyway, so we have Antoine de la Mothe Cadillac. Was told by a fortune teller to appease the Nain Rouge. But upon encountering the creature, he smacked it with his cane and shouted, "Get out of my way, you red imp."
Whoa.
As a consequence, a string of bad luck befell Cadillac.
He shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. He essentially got charged, got arrested, got shipped down to Louisiana. Because everyone sends all their shit down to Louisiana, right? And then was eventually sent back to France, where he was imprisoned and lost all of his money. And that's what you get for fucking with the Nain Rouge. Now,
Don't do it. That's what
the Nain Rouge is actually as trolly as it sounds. And out of all these bullshit stories that we've read over the past couple weeks, there is literally a parade in Detroit every year.
No.
The Nain Rouge parade.
No, really?
Yep. And it's a costume parade, and it's called the Marche de la Nain Rouge, or the Marche du Nain Rouge. It's fucking spelled in French.
Right.
Literally, there's one person who dresses up as a devil. And leads the parade and then gets chased out at the end. They chase out the devil out of town. Here, I'll read this. This is a quote, credit to wiki author, because I'm just literally gonna read it. I'm not gonna edit. Each spring, Detroit holds a costume community parade called the Marche du Nain Rouge. In which the creature is traditionally chased out of the city. Although the revival parade stays entirely within the Midwest Cass Corridor neighborhood, at the conclusion of the parade, an effigy of the Nain Rouge is destroyed. It's destroyed. Thus banishing the evil spirit from the city for another year. According to tradition, parade participants and spectators are encouraged to wear different costumes each year, so when the Nain Rouge returns, it will not recognize the person who ousted him from the city limits and thus will not be able to seek personal vengeance.
Wow. That's actually really neat. There are no traditions like that where I'm at. That's really cool.
A lot better than our actual Halloween tradition.
I mean, I like candy.
Look up Devil's Night. That's another
no,
Detroit.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's
about
a Detroit
that.
Special right there.
I know about that.
Yeah, this is our springtime. We chase out the devil in spring.
Oh, okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't realize this was a springtime festival. It's a very localized to Detroit thing, but
that was actually really neat. Like, I had no idea, and that sounded like a really interesting parade / event / festival. I like it.
Again, this is something I want to very loosely touch on because it's active religion and cultures, right? But in case it wasn't obvious with the heavy French influence with the area and the names and all that, this does have a bit of your like your hoodoo voodoo Creole influence in its own way as well, which kind of adds like to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's, I don't know, it's not necessarily Creole, right? But like, I mean, where's the roots of Creole? It's similar, right? Yeah. So that's the Nain Rouge in Michigan.
Man, I don't have any cool stories like that. That was a good one. You got another one?
I actually do have one last Michigan story. But this was not a scary story, not a cryptid, not anything at all. This is just a very common story and one I am comfortable speaking on because this is something almost every kid who lives at least in the Lower Peninsula gets taught this story or read at some point. And it's the legend of the Sleeping Bear Dunes. Now, have you heard of the Sleeping Bear Dunes?
I have not.
So essentially there's a big sand dune up here in Michigan called the Sleeping Bear Dunes that basically oversees like these two islands.
Are they shaped to look like a sleeping bear?
I don't remember off the top of my head if it's the islands or if it's the dunes, but I don't think it's the dunes because dunes kind of change their shape constantly.
That makes sense. That was a dumb question that I asked.
But that did make me think like, do the islands? But I don't think that's. I think it's just the story. That's where they get the name. Okay. But this is old Chippewa legend. And again, I only feel comfortable speaking on this because it gets taught so readily. So if I fuck anything up, no offense, please. No offense meant. So there was a old Chippewa legend of a mother bear and two cubs that were escaping a forest fire in Wisconsin. So they swam across the Lake Michigan. And they swam and they swam and they swam, right? End up swimming for days until they got to the other side. But just before the cubs were able to make it to the other side, they succumbed to exhaustion. Aww. And they end up drowning in the river. The mother bear was able to make it to the other side, but in all of her sadness, just sat on the edge of the shore and eventually laid her head down and passed away. I'm sorry. She didn't pass away. She went to sleep. I'm sorry, I fucked it up. This is why it's the sleeping bear. I fucked the whole thing up, right? The mother bear went to sleep waiting for the cubs to arrive, as you know, she didn't see them drowned and all that. Aww. So she was waiting for the cubs to show up. In the time while she was sleeping, the Great Spirit Manitoba created two different islands, the northern and the southern Manitoba Islands, and to basically commemorate the cubs that never made it, and then turned the mother into the sand dune that overlooks the lakeshore, which is the Sleeping Bear sand dune.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Again, that nothing really nothing spoopy on that one.
That one was sad.
Yeah. But I'm not gonna lie, because there's also like, it's kind of I don't want to say it's like super popular book, but it's something like a lot of libraries around here will at least have a few, like a small little kid's book about this story and all that.
Mm-hmm.
It 100%, whenever I see Brother Bear, the movie Brother Bear,
yeah,
instantly I'm like, yo, if they would have did this movie, I would have enjoyed it like 1,000 times better. Like, they could have did something like this. I mean, they would have had to change it, which I guess in its own right would have been kind of disrespectful to the story. But I just like, every time I see Brother Bear, it reminds me of this story, and I'm like, it's such a better story. And Brave is a much better movie than Brother Bear. get shit on.
I love Brave.
But that's all I really have.
Yeah.
So I don't. Did you have any more, Nev?
I can do one more. This one I will use a guide to make sure that I don't miss anything important here. The monkey's paw. This is a very popular, as far as what a monkey's paw does is known.
I actually have read this story. Not only am I familiar with this one, Nev, I have legitimately read this one because I took high school English.
Yeah. So I am going to give a quick shout out to a Parcast Network podcast called it's like American Haunting Ghost Stories. And basically what this Parcast Network podcast does is it takes all your famous and well-known and some not well-known ghost stories and folklore and short stories and actually a couple of novellas as well, and they retell them, and so they try and keep true to the original.
Hold up real quickly, Nev. You have to explain what novella is, because that's something that, unless you're a reader.
A short book.
There you go. I know it's not super complicated, but I'm not personally. I learned what a novella was about 4 months ago, because I've heard the term novel, I've heard the term book, short story, and someone's like, "Yeah, novella," and I'm like, "Well, wind that back real quick." What the fuck?
The podcast basically takes all these different like ghost stories and folklore and that kind of material, and they kind of make it their own. They stay pretty true to the original plot line, but they might change something up. And I've heard some really, really good stories through that podcast that I've not heard like the plot before. A lot of them, some of the older ones, like talk generation to generation, especially in Asian cultures. There's a bunch of really good stories that are in that podcast, so definitely check that out. But the monkey's paw was one of them that I thought would be a really good one to talk about, because everybody knows what a monkey's paw is, but they might not know the story behind it. So basically the short story,
it's the hand of a monkey.
Yeah, there you go.
Story done. See you guys.
Bye. A husband and his wife, we'll call them Mr. and Mrs. White, and their grown son Herbert are residing at this little house that they've worked so hard to obtain, and their son works to help kind of keep the bills and keep the mortgage up and everything like that. One of Mr. White's friends comes over to dine with them one evening and tells them the story of the monkey's paw. And has the paw with him when he comes over to visit. And he's like, yeah, basically you ask 3 wishes and it'll be granted. And, the fate might not be as promising, but you will get your wish. And Mr. White's like, oh, okay, all right, well, he's like, I'm pretty confident that I'm happy right where I'm at. I've got my wife, I've got my son, we've got this house. But you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and wish for 200 pounds. Just 200 pounds. That'll help us finish our mortgage payment. It'll allow Herbert to go off on his own and maybe explore the world and see some new things. So Herbert, their son, okay, Dad, I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to go to bed. I'll let you know if a giant sack of money with 200 pounds in it, wakes me up in the morning. So they get up the next morning, and alas, no 200 pounds. They
Can
have
you say
breakfast.
dollars because we're not communists?
Well, okay. I'm just going by the story. But I'm going to say 200 pounds because this is what's old-timey money.
Okay. 200 shillings.
So Herbert eats breakfast and he goes off to work, and Mr. and Mrs. White decide to spend the late morning and early afternoon being within each other's company and having a grand day, when all of a sudden a knock at the door. It's somebody from Herbert's work. there had been an accident at the factory, and Herbert has died. Please take this small penance in order to help you start planning for the funeral. Mr. White says, how much is it? It's 200 pounds.
Dun, dun, dun!
Yep. After the funeral, Mrs. White, just absolutely losing it over the loss of her son, insists that they use the paw again to wish for Herbert to come back to life. Mr. White's like, no, absolutely not. No, I won't do that. Mrs. White says, it's your fault. It's your fault that he's dead. If you didn't wish for the 200 pounds, he wouldn't have died. So reluctantly, he says, okay, all right, I will wish. So late into the evening, there's a knock at the door. Mr. White, fearing that the thing outside may not be the son that he remembers, he makes his third and final wish. And as he does so, the knocking stops, and Mrs. White opens the door to find that no one is there. The end.
So I heard a different monkey paw story.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Urban legends, they change over time.
I don't remember what the ones were in mine, but that was definitely not it. I remember the one where it's like, no, they fuck you, all three wishes. Get fucked.
Yep.
As a D&D player, I am also very intimately familiar with monkey paws in general.
Yep.
Because holy shit, is that like the favorite thing as a DM for like so many DMs? So like, oh, I'm going to give you a wish, but I'm going to monkey paw and not tell you. By the way, if you ever do that, I will never trust you ever. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, no, it's again, what I was saying at the beginning, it's like a lot of urban legends and stories such as those. The main storyline is kind of the same. Stuff might change, but the basic point is that there's usually a lesson involved as well, which is be careful what you wish for.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep, but that was my last one that I wanted to tell. I told that one a lot better than my other ones.
Almost like you pulled up the story to follow.
I did.
and there was more to it than there's someone in your back
There's
seat.
someone in the back seat. But who was phone?
Who was phone? that just might be an episode title. Who was phone?
But who
Put that shit in
was
chat,
phone?
Nev. Who was phone?
That's
I'm doing that right now.
That's a classic comedic creepypasta. It basically is the same story as like the babysitter, like the calls coming from inside the house, but it was so poorly written, either intentionally or for the lulz, or for not for the lulz, but it was written so poorly that they ended it, but who was phone? And I think they meant to say who was on the other end of the phone. But they just said, who was phone?
I like it. I'm ending it on that one.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah. I'm not fucking pulling up the thank yous. It's just Nev and I right now. It's hard to pull up the thank yous, and I'm hosting. We've gone over this. Thank you to all of our wonderful fucking patrons.
We super appreciate it.
Nailed it. And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, thank you all of you guys that I just stated. You all are the best.
You rock. Not canceling that.
Yeah, not canceling that.
Be on the lookout. Some big stuff coming up on the horizon. Goodbye!
Even now, I'm kind of curious what that is.
Well, I meant for like the patrons, because we're like doing stuff now. We're doing episodes. Some big stuff on the horizon. Oh, we're done. Okay, bye.
Mommy don't know Daddy's getting hot at the body shop, doing something unholy. got married to a boy like you. She kicked you out if she ever knew that all that you told me that you do.